NPCs. We have our ongoing ideas on how to tweak your GMing so that you can GM for different styles of play than maybe is your favorite, how you can please more players to go pro GM and be able to get enough clients, because as we know, not everybody sees the game the same way. Not everybody enjoys the game the same way. We all get our dopamine hits differently from this game. We don't even all agree on what version to play anymore. So I did Old School Essentials last night for Wednesday night Save or Die. And yes, a character did die. Perma-died, as in probably isn't ever coming back. But, you know, we say bring backup characters for a reason. But today we're going to get into something about as far from that as possible. A totally different style of play, still our great game, still gives people dopamine hits. Today we're going to get into free reviews of free or pay what you want products. In getting enough content, I mean, I have years of content now, more than I could ever run, both content that I paid for, but there is tons and tons of content out there on the internet that is totally free, or pay what you want. And it's a lot of this free or pay what you want content is just as good or better than a lot of the content that you would pay money for. So I didn't intend this to be a review channel at the start, but I think that just might be a shtick for me, because I've noticed that some of my favorite YouTubers, the ones that make the most sense to me, their channels make the most sense, I like their channels, I watch their channels a lot, are the people who, this game is so big, they kind of narrow it down to like Dungeon Dad and his Monster of the Week, bringing monsters from the previous 40 years up to date for 5e. Or I used to watch Tulok the Barbarian for years with his, how to make pop culture characters with 5e D&D builds and stuff like that. So, those guys do terrific jobs. Shout outs to them. But but I was thinking that if I did do some reviews, because the last thing that the internet needs right now is another D&D review show. I was thinking if I did do some reviews, a friend of mine suggested that I specialize in free stuff and pay what you want stuff. So here we go. Our first product that I'm actually running tonight. I've been running it for about a month. It is a campaign and setting book. I mean, I could probably run it for a year if I wanted to. I do not intend to, unless the players want to stay there. I'm not going to put a fence around it beyond what's already in the plot. But when the plot is over and they can leave, I'm not going to put another fence there to artificially keep them in. So I'm talking about Into Wonderland. I'll have a link to Into Wonderland below that you can get for pay what you want at, I think the suggested price is $13.75. But it is pay what you want. So I know people that have gotten pay what you want things for a penny, and that's totally a thing. So that's there's two rules that I'm going to have for these reviews. One of them has to be either free or pay what you want, and the other is that it can't be just a sample of something else they want you to spend money for. Because a lot of things, they'll be like a free first 30 pages, or free what they'll call quick start rules, or free what they call basic rules, and it's really just incomplete. It's really just it's like in the grocery stores, sometimes they'll have the people out there to give you like little free samples of cubed ham on toothpicks, and to try to get you to actually buy a ham that day. So we're not going to do things that are teaser products, okay? So no quick start or basic rules teaser sets, but in order to qualify for this type of review, I'm going to require that it be like a complete product, not or an expansion to another product. Into Wonderland actually has a free expansion called Further Into Wonderland, which I might also do. But today we're just going to stick to the original product, Into Wonderland. So Into Wonderland is a Feywild campaign book. I'll go ahead and explain the setup, but I will not explain the plot going forward, so no spoilers here. So the setup is basically what you'd have to explain to the players just to get started your first night anyway. But I will not carry the plot forward for you because I don't want to give you spoilers. So the setup is that a town, it could be from any game world you want, it could be from your homebrew world. It is heavily inferred in the text that it is was intended to be from Forgotten Realms. Okay, so a Forgotten Realms town has mysteriously been transported into the Feywild. right in the midst of like there's 4 Archfey domains nearby, as well as Feywild territory that's not part of a domain. And of course, there's a reason the town is there, but I'm not going to spoil that. But what it seems to the players at first is nobody knows why the town is there. The mayor doesn't know what happened. All the other town elders and leaders don't seem to know what happened. Some of them might know what happened, and they're just not telling. But again, no spoilers. But ostensibly, nobody knows why this town got sent to the Feywild. Nobody knows how to bring it back. Outside the town is something called the Shimmer. And the Shimmer is been created. The town is like a bubble of mortal civilization. It is a bubble of the thinking that we mortals have in real life, where we're always watching the clock, like the doctor said once in Doctor Who, always counting down the minutes and hours and years and seconds, sticking to a schedule, having a routine, having civilization. Kind of like in the movie Gremlins 2, when they interviewed the brain gremlin and said, "What do you want?" And, well, we want what everybody wants, civilization. So the town is like this bubble of civilization, and the Feywild, with all of its freedom and chaos, is just kind of pressing in upon it. And so the town things are running out in the town. Back in the Forgotten Realms, or wherever it came from, the town had fields and farmers to supply food all around, and those fields outside the city walls are gone, replaced with the Shimmer. And the town had a river that supplied fresh water, gone. The town is running out of food, it's running out of water, it's running out of a lot of stuff. Morale in the town is kind of shaky because the citizens are suddenly transported to some weirdo place. And to them, anyway, I'm sure if you're from the Feywild, you don't think it's a weirdo place. But so the party basically ends up becoming the Ender Coast that's the name of the town, the Ender Coast Feywild Task Force. They're going out into the Feywild beyond the Shimmer to short-term procure the survivability of the town, find a way to get the town enough food and enough resources, enough fresh water to live, but also long-term find out what's going on, why did this happen, and potentially how to reverse it. So there are 4 complete Fey domains with their own unique Archfey. What I like about the product, enough about the plot, let's get to the crunch. There is a player's guide that contains balanced 5th edition player fairy dragons, among other things. People have been begging me to play fairy dragons since the 80s, and there are various centaurs that are not just bottom half horse, they're bottom half other things. There are a new kind of method called the Stormcloud method. These are all player characters. They have all sorts of interesting player character options. They have a unique warlock pact for warlocks for each of these 4 Archfey. So a warlock that was a warlock of one of these Archfey would not have to just take the generic Archfey warlock in the player's handbook unless they liked that for their build. They could also have the option of having a unique Archfey pact for these particular Archfey. But yeah, and there's a subclass, new subclasses for new subclass for rangers, new subclass for fighters. I think they have a new subclass for almost every core class. But it's really neat. As far as the gameplay goes, last week we never rolled initiative. We never had a combat. Everything was theater of the mind. It reminded me very much of a White Wolf game involving organizations like the Camarilla and everything, because the party basically went to the different Archfey domains and negotiated with the Archfey, hey, this town needs help, but of course, you're not just going to help for free out of charity. We got to do something for you. What do you want? What are your motivations? What appeals to you? That kind of thing. And so, they wound up, I don't want to give away spoilers, but the point is that it was very roleplay heavy, roleplay intensive, and it wouldn't be everybody's cup of tea. The people from the people that like the dungeon crawls, last night in Old School Essentials, there on our Save or Die Wednesdays, there was a fork in the plot where they could have gone into town and started talking to NPCs and find out, what kind of community they're in and what kind of people are there, what the local culture's like, maybe make some NPC connections, or they could have just gone straight to the dungeon. And they said, John, we're playing Old School Essentials because we want to do dungeons. And I said, that's great, so be it. It's your choice. That's why the choice is there. So maybe they'll venture out into the town and find out what the story and country around them is like later. But so Into Wonderland is very high role play. If you like that, I really recommend it. I'm having fun with it. The players are having fun with it on Thursdays. And in the meantime, if you like our content, like and subscribe. Down below, there's a Patreon link to our personal coaching program where I will personally contact you through Discord or telephone for a personal coaching call on a regular basis to help you with your specific stuff for your campaign and your players. There's our links to our games if you want to play with us at grumpyoldgms.com.